Don in London. Hello, it's August the 15th. August the 15th. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, and my behaviour could be equally addictive around people, places and things. And in my drinking days, which were far too many, for far too long, well, I thought I needed to be with the right people, in the right place, with the right things, doing the right things, and with a drink in hand. Work hard, play hard, drink hard, and try to be whatever I thought you wanted me to be, so I could fit in. So maybe a chronic people pleaser, that is, wanting to be a part of. So very extrovert, drinking, and very out there, being mad as a hatter sometimes when it came to social activities. And I drank as hard as the next person. And when I couldn't find heavy drinkers, I sought them out, because that's what I thought it was all about. So drink fixed a lot of situations for me. It made me able to cope with what I thought was reality. But in so doing, I was not living reality, because I was fixing me and fixing the world, and trying to make it either my way or your way, whatever it was. These days don't have to do that. In recovery from addiction to alcohol and people and places and things which are bad for me, one day at a time. And today's a good day. I've woken up, I'm okay, I'm still alive, and I can make sense of what's going on. It's one of those days where I've had to pay bills, so reluctantly I've paid my taxes, my local taxes, all the things and utilities, which seem to go up and up and up. Well, that's just the way life is, so I need to keep that in mind when I'm in recovery as well, keeping up with everything really, and it's a difficult job sometimes. So what helps me more than anything to stay in recovery one day at a time is being part of fellowship, the fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't represent AA, never can, never will, don't want to. It's full of unique and authentic people right now living the day that they have today, or some of us are, because we're still working to live in the moment rather than live in some alternative, living in the past, in the dark, or living in the future where we think it's going to be alright. All we need to do is concentrate on now and then see what happens. Now, AA fellowship saved my life, I know that, so I'm plus 7 years and a bit in recovery, and life had come to an end before that. I really didn't know how to cope anymore. So a homeless person for some years, and then, oh my word, all the things that I have to do to try and just get back into a place where it was okay to be me, and that was fellowship. So what is the AA fellowship? On this little card here is the AA preamble, which I share at the beginning of my videos, and then I share reflections or daily reflections from this book from the AA literature, and I have a few words of my own about fellowship, about progress, and absolutely not about perfection. And I was very lucky yesterday. I live on the route of the Olympic bike race, and yesterday they had a test run. So all round my area, roads were closed, barriers were up, all to see a few cyclists go by at a terrific speed, and I managed to get them on. I managed to catch them on my camera, and they were going so fast they blurred. So they must have been doing about 40 miles an hour. The people in the background looked perfect, but these guys were really cycling very, very fast, and it was impressive. So I was quite lucky on that, and my birthday yesterday was very good. It was peaceful, sort of serene. A few feelings of sadness last night in a meeting, but I'll share about that in a minute. So AA, the AA preamble, it tells me why I go to AA, and it's about sharing the message. So that's the reason why I do these videos. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. It neither endorses... I slipped there. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Now when I do these videos, it's straight off the top of my head. I've worked out what I'm going to say nearly, one or two things which I've shared in previous years and also some new stuff from this year. So I'm just making progress, and these videos are just done off the cuff. So what you see is what you get. This is me as I am right now. And it is from the heart, but it's not from a place of thinking I know better than anybody else. I'm just sharing a message. Excuse me. And Alcoholics Anonymous, if you say you're in, you're in. The only requirement is a desire to stop drinking. There are no laws, rules, regulations to hold you to anything. And if you say you're an alcoholic, you are. It's up to you. You know, the burden of proof is with you. And if you come to AA and you get something from it, all well and good. But if you come to AA and you don't like it, because for whatever reason, but I know what my primary reason was for not knowing about AA, or when I did know about AA, not going to AA, and that was simple. It was about the destruction of my life with alcohol, destroying a relationship with a substance, which would then change the way I behaved with people in different places, doing different things. So my whole life had to change. Well, where I got to, there was nothing left of life. A park bench, no one to talk to, frightened to talk to anybody who knew me from the past, and frightened to talk to family because they were at their wits' end about what to do with me, if anything. They just didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what to do. And when I got to that place of rock bottom, or another rock bottom as it turned out, I just realised life could not get any worse. At least I thought so. But then of course recovery comes along as well, and it's a very bumpy ride in the first few days, weeks, whatever it takes to start to feel some sort of normal again, whatever your normal is. And it's not for me to judge what your normal is. So AA saved my life, the people in it, and it's the many voices in the rooms or meetings or groups of AA which make the difference, because wisdom comes from others. And what I've learned is the wisdom of more people who know something about how to be sober is a power greater than me. Indeed, I'm humbled by that, and I find that humility, the ability to keep on learning life, is absolutely key, because every day is different. As long as we don't get stuck in the insanity of doing the same old things every single day and expecting something different to happen. So, AA saved my life, people in it, with their experience, strength and hope. And I have to say, yes, I am an alcoholic. So every time I speak in a meeting, I start with Don Alcoholic. Then people say, hello Don, and I say, ooh, what am I going to say now? I just talk about what I've heard, not to judge anybody, take the good of what has been said, say I really like that, and my experience of that is, and this is how my day's going, and if I make a difference by what I say, then maybe I've done some good. So that's me. This book, the Daily Reflections, shares about the 12 steps of AA, which are for an individual to learn about and practice as principles in living. And I have to say, it took me quite a while to work through what they were and then put them into practice in a way that doesn't impede my freedom. In fact, it gives me the maximum amount of freedom to live my life on life's terms. Not the way I want it to be, but the way it is. A human being being myself and experiencing every emotion that is possible to experience as we go along in life. I also know that if my feelings fit what's going on right now, I'm in the moment. So it's an emotional and spiritual program for me. Spiritual simply meaning living in the moment of now. And as someone pointed out yesterday, when one of the promises is you might be rocketed into the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension is time. So if you're rocketed into the moment of now, letting go of the history which deprived us of reality, and don't go too far forward, we're in the moment of now, with feelings right-sized for what is going on. Love, hate, sad, joy, whatever it is, we experience life as it is, and our feelings are equal to what is going on. How nice is that? Well, it's nice when it's a nice day and bad when it's a bad day. So if we get 50-50, we're very lucky. Anyway, daily reflections for today, August 15th. Didn't we hurt anybody? Some of us, though, tripped over a very different snag. We clung to the claim that when drinking we never hurt anybody but ourselves. And that comes from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, which might be behind me. Yes, this one. A handy guide to what are the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. But something I was unable to read with any sense at all in my first year. My brains were so fried. And the very idea that I would adopt a set of principles which didn't involve drinking was quite difficult. So we clung to the claim that when drinking we never hurt anybody but ourselves. And it goes on to say, this step seemed so simple. Identity step 8. Made a list of people we had harmed and been willing to make amends to them all. This step seemed so simple. I identified several people whom I had harmed, but they were no longer available. And that is true for me too. Some of the people I harmed over the years are dead. Not from drink, well, my father is, but I did make my amends to him. I was very lucky. He was alive for 3 months at the end of his life when he stopped drinking and started loving people, and then we were able to love him back. But he had a real kicking over the years, and that was because of the way he was taught to live and how he retaliated and then had to conform, go through a war, and found life extraordinarily hard. And 3 months out of a lifetime of only 65 years is quite difficult to find love, really. It was always there, we just didn't really want to share it, in case it was ever withdrawn, I guess. So he withdrew from us. Yeah, I identified several people whom I had harmed, but they were no longer available. Still, I was uneasy about the step and avoided conversations dealing with it. In time, I learned to investigate those steps and areas of my life which made me uncomfortable. My search revealed my parents, who had been deeply hurt by my isolation from them, my employer, who worried about my absences, my memory lapses, my temper, and the friends I had shunned, without explanation. As I faced the reality of the harm I had done, Step 8 took on a new meaning. I am no longer uncomfortable, and I feel clean and light. But it's the same in recovery. We can also shun people without explanation. Either, I don't know, we just do, and then we wonder why they feel hurt, unloved, and not very useful. That is the way we can be. So we have to learn, keep on learning what's going on inside us. And I have some things and thoughts. I was 55 yesterday, so I'm plus 7 years and a bit extra life, which I never thought I'd get. But because before that, I'd rather have been dead than alive. It was so dire. And it was a rock bottom, but I don't underestimate anybody else's. So, today, my thoughts, and then some from previous years. How am I feeling? I'll try this every morning. How am I feeling? Why? And what can I do? How am I feeling? Good in myself, but discombobulated by last night. Or I felt unsettled by last night. Why? One or two people were in judgmental mode in my fellowship meeting and held opinions about their worthiness to be alcoholics because of their dire experiences. What can I do? I can say I'm an alcoholic in recovery. That's me. A rock bottom is a rock bottom, and anyone who finds sobriety, emotionally and spiritually, is okay with me. And the reason why I say that is sometimes people have had such absolutely dire consequences, which are absolutely unimaginable events in their lives, or endurance years of just horrible abuse from others and by ourselves. Because one of the things we do, if we're being harmed by others, we withdraw, isolate, and in some cases, like alcoholics or drug addicts, we prefer oblivion and the obvious death which will follow. And that's rock bottom, no matter where you come from. So comparison, compare and despair, compare, cause anger and resentment in others. I don't resent the fact that these people were saying I'm a true alcoholic, but some people aren't. Whatever they believe is whatever they believe, but it doesn't really help other people. So we will get people who will judge others for what they are and who they are, and they're not an alcoholic, they're not the right sort of alcoholic, they're not the alcoholic that the big book of AA talks about, but of course they are, and this is the reason why. A desire to stop drinking is the only requirement. When I hear people judge others as non-alcoholics, I do shudder inside. This is people in fellowship, we are non-professional, always. We are non-professional. We're not counsellors, we're not doctors, we're not psychiatrists. Well, I'm not, but there are some doctors, psychiatrists and counsellors who actually go to AA, as do policemen, policewomen, politicians, school children, actually, very young people, and they say what they say they are. We are non-professional, and there are no rules, laws or regulations in AA fellowship. It's hard enough to step into a meeting to find out what we are. The burden of proof is always with the individual, and if we say we are in AA fellowship, or any fellowship which we feel is appropriate to us. That's off my chest, so I feel better for having said that, and I may share it over and over again in the next few years, because I have a strong understanding in my own heart. If a person says I have a desire to stop drinking and I'm an alcoholic, then I want anyone, anywhere to reach out and help them as best we can, and the best way is always face to face. So although I do these videos, which are a stopgap measure for a lot of people who travel, and they are a stopgap measure between am I in or am I out? What sort of people am I going to meet in AA? Well, 95% of them, or even 99% on a good day, will be saying, how can we help you? Listen, here's my telephone number. Here's a bit of literature which may help you make your mind up. Please come back. Keep coming back. See what it is. So it's the wisdom of the many in fellowship which always counts, not the... We as alcoholics tend to be able to see the weakness in other people because we're full of them, and we're full of it sometimes too, like me. So that's me. If you're in, you're in. If you say you're an alcoholic, you're an alcoholic. If you have a desire to stop drinking, come along, because simply a desire to stop doesn't mean you have to admit and accept anything other than drinking is probably not doing me too much good. Maybe there is a way to do it safely. In my opinion, for me only, taking a drink would destroy me. It would make me feel very bad about myself, because I value my emotional, understanding my feelings in the moment, and spiritual, living in the moment. Previous years, Step 8 made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. That is really difficult, making a list and willing without leaving anybody out, or saying if I make this amend will they make an amend back for what they did to me? And that becomes tit for tat, and it won't work. The amends are clean and simple about our side of the street. Harm we did, not harm they did. Willingness for me became more obvious in the amends I felt unable to make, and then becoming willing. So there were some which I didn't want to make, but I did, wherever I could. And there's still some to go, because it's not easy to track people down, and sometimes we've got to be careful not to do more harm than good. So it requires a little bit of help from people who have had experience of doing this. Each amends as potent as any other, as we learn to cherish always in the moment of now. And cherishing always in the moment of now is learning how to love, be loved back, and useful in the moment of now, to love and be loved back. But I'm still learning what it means to love and be loved back, because I'm shy of love. I'm scared if you love me, you might, and then go. What am I going to do? Because that's happened in the past. And I can remember I was so lovelorn and heartbroken when a partner of mine needed to do something without me for some time. I remember saying, and breaking down, saying, I don't know what I'm going to do without you. And she felt bad. And I hadn't said it to make her upset, but I just didn't know what to do with myself, because I loved her so deeply. So, we can love people, but sometimes they can't love us back just as we may hope. And that's just the way it is. But that heartbreak I was inconsolable for years. And my behaviour got worse around romance and finance. I had far too much romance, demanding too much. And I worked so hard, made loads of money and spent it. Yes, not necessarily a good outcome. Everything went wrong. So, another one from another year. Amends we make just for today. Sometimes we may feel the amends is done. In my experience, our living amend is a constant in the way we change our attitude and behaviour as we encounter old and new situations. As we have made the list of people harmed and become willing, our daily endeavours show us and others the way. So as we make amends, we may talk in a general way about what we've done and how it's worked, but it doesn't mean that it is complete until we understand it is complete. The gift is, that's the way we behaved back then, that's the person I was back then, and this is the person I am becoming now, which is the way it goes like this. I realise I'm powerless over people, places and things. I know that if I go back to old ways, I'll be restored to insanity, so I'm restored to sanity on a daily basis, provided I'm sober. I let go being right or wrong. I let go and let the world in, so I can have humility to learn. Humility is a great word. Some people may mistake it for a weakness, but it's the greatest strength any human being can have. Humility. Keep on learning. I know in my life story where things went wrong, and I know in the story of today, the way my life is turning out is quite different. And I keep on sharing about it as best I can, so it's experience, strength and hope to other people. If I ask myself and a higher power, which is where I go every day, the wisdom of the rooms, and the wisdom of the man who sweeps the street, he has wisdom about life. Whilst he's sweeping the street, he may be an actor out of work. He may be an ex-politician who's found something more important. Whatever it is, I don't know, but they may have some wisdom. So if I don't try and run the show, if I don't try and pull it all back to me running the show, that's my greatest defect. What I need in step 7 is courage, faith and confidence to keep on going, even when it's quite hard work. And when I don't know what to do, phone a friend, go to a meeting, get some help. Don't be overly self-reliant, because that will lead me back into trying to run things again. And I don't need to. I want my freedom of choice based on what's going on now, rather than trying to create something which is impossible. ruling the world. Step 8, well, amends come along when they do. The near ones are done, and there are others from the past which may or may not happen. And every day I ask myself, how's it gone? And what am I grateful for? And most often I'm grateful for knowing what's gone on. A little bit of prayer and meditation does me no harm, and then sharing experience, strength and hope. Those are the 12 principles in a nutshell. Easy to say, hard to do, in my experience, because I have to do it every day. No, I don't have to. I need to do it every day. It's not wanting. I just need to be aware of freedom in the moment of now, spiritually connected, knowing my feelings and understanding life a little bit better as it goes along. That's me for today. The Serenity Prayer, which is absolutely essential to me whenever I feel disturbed, and it can be a disturbance of joy or sadness or any emotion. I need to just remind myself of what I can do. I can understand my attitudes and behaviour and deal with that, but I can't change your attitudes and behaviour. So it's can do for me, cannot control you. Can have freedom, don't need to rule the world. That's how the Serenity Prayer works for me. And I keep on learning the wisdom and difference every single day, if I remind myself. So these principles only work if I keep on working them. And I'm pleased to say that I can be quite useless on some days and quite good on other days. Just depends how I am. So the Serenity Prayer to God, or just simply good conscience, an exhortation to good. Simply, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Everything out there. Courage to change the things I can, me and my attitudes. And the wisdom to know the difference, hopefully in the moment and just for today.